Hi everyone, I'm Sunshine,
And I'm Shogo.
and welcome to OMG Japan.
In this podcast, Rakugo master Katsura Sunshine and Let Shogo delve into the theme of enjoying Japan more, revealing the secrets of Japanese culture and the behind the scenes of our activities, all while aiming to connect more closely with you. Same
You're a
thing,
monster.
there's...
What can't you do?
There's
I was
the,
just gonna, I was gonna comment, but I didn't have time before because
yeah.
you were talking about the different official martial arts that you. I was gonna say, ask you like Shogo's
Yeah.
on like, how many different ways are you
Mhm.
licensed to kill a person?
Yeah. So I don't know. I just really want to be doing new things, I guess. I'm
Yeah,
not
good for
the
you.
kind of person who can really focus on one thing. I just, I can't
Sure,
focus.
sure, sure.
So yeah,
No,
so
I love
my
it. That's so cool.
yeah. So my shakuhachi too, I'm really hoping to get to my shihan while I'm in my 30s, hopefully.
Right, right.
Shakuhachi I've only been doing for like what 3 years or so. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
at the there's this system called the den in Japanese, which
yeah,
is starts from shoden, chuden, okuden, kaiden. There's these
right.
different levels. It's often used in theater arts and martial arts and such too. But for
Right,
shakuhachi too, yeah, I'm
right,
at the shoden level. Yeah,
right, right,
and then
right, right.
shoden to okuden, these three levels. If your sensei says, okay, you're shoden from today, then you're shoden. Basically, that's it. Yeah.
Sure,
But the Jun Shihan, which is the semi-instructor, and also the
right.
Shihan, which is the instructor, these two levels are you have to go to the exam that the Ryuha itself holds. Yeah.
Sure.
So in my case, I train in Dozan-ryu in Shakuhachi. So I
Got
have to
it.
go to a certain place and take the exam and such. Yeah. So hopefully I'll be able to do that while in my 30s. I can like do performances sometimes, with my sensei, or same thing with no theater too. Yeah, I just want to be able to,
Wow.
you know, the thing is, Sunshine, I really don't like. I guess I'm going to be really open to everyone listening to OMG Japan too, but there's always people, like, for example, especially Japanese people who watch my channel sometimes or see my content, and they're like, oh, this guy's just, this guy's speaking English, he's fake. Everything he says is, not real, he's not even Japanese, sometimes they say. And I'm like,
Really?
yeah, seriously, there's some terrible people out there, and
Yeah.
of course, first I could just let them say whatever they want to. I don't really care. At the same time,
Yeah.
though, I do want to be able to say that I'm actually a professional in something,
Yeah.
because I am talking a lot about Japanese culture and history and stuff. And of course, first of all, I love it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
second of all, I don't want to be just this person who's doing these things as hobbies, but going around to these professionals, spreading Japanese culture to the world and saying that my dream is to, preserve Japanese culture to the next century. That's my goal. That's the goal of my company and myself.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I want to do this too. I want to prove to the people that I'm doing things seriously. Yeah. Not just this person
Well,
that's reading off
excellent.
books and making content. So
It's a great idea.
yeah.
I think it's fantastic. And I know how you
Hmm.
feel about commenters. I get some wild ones.
Yeah, do you?
Someone the other day said I was mocking Japanese culture. Like, well, I don't know where you. And it was part of my show at
Mhm.
Suehirote, which is the
Okay.
Yosei Theater in Shinjuku.
Hmm.
I mean, the audience that day, and the show I had it recorded with 10 cameras. It was good.
Wow.
Good. It was the first step to trying to get my show recorded for Netflix. So I wanted to show what
Mm.
it would be like if you were showing the audience just like a Netflix comedy special.
Hmm.
You pan to the audience, and like it's clear that 90% of the people were Japanese.
Yeah.
English speaking Japanese people laughing their heads off at the joke.
Yeah,
It was just, I
yeah.
mean, it was just a little clip.
Uh-huh.
You were mocking Japanese people. I'm like, okay, well, I don't think they'd be laughing that hard if they thought I was mocking them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all
Exa-
kinds. What can you do about
Yeah,
the
yeah,
comments? But all the power
exactly.
to you. No, to just like do it properly, do it seriously, and become a professional in the things that you love
Mhm.
doing. Why not? Why not? I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really looking forward to doing that in my 30s. Yeah, it'd
Love
be
it.
a dream come true if I do that. And alongside, of course, my training with Asami Shinryu in Kobudo, I really
Yeah,
want to actually open up my own dojo in Kyoto. Because at the
love it.
moment, they only have their dojos in the country area.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
Tok
yeah,
The main dojo is in Ibaraki. They have one in Kasukabe, which is in Saitama.
Yeah.
Yes, and famous for Crayon Shinchan,
Right, right, right,
Kaskabe.
right, right.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And they also have one dojo that they rent, which is like a taikukan, which is like a gym that of a elementary school that they borrow. Yeah,
Right,
in Tokyo, so they do the trainings on Wednesdays, but nothing in the Kansai area that people can
right.
actually go to and train. So I think for opening a dojo, I'll be able to do that before I turn 35 for Asami Ryu. So I'll be doing training there, maybe doing even my own online lessons, and then alongside with that, I'll be doing more of no theater and shakuhachi training, and of course tea ceremony training too. So
Holy smokes,
yeah,
you're a monster. Now you seem to talk a lot about like in my 30s and by the time I'm 30, you have your life
yeah.
quite scheduled out that way, eh?
I don't know. There's this thing, I don't know, theory, this idea that I personally believe in. Yes, I'm not too sure if this is actually based on a really important person's words or anything, but
Right.
there's this saying that goes that what you should use the most, what you should should I say, maximize the most when you're in the certain time of your life. So
Right.
when you're in your tens, friends, yes,
Right.
tomodachi
Right.
is going to be your biggest weapon. Yeah.
Okay.
And then in your 20s, it's tairyoku. So your stamina,
Your
basically,
stamina, yeah.
is yeah, exactly doing everything that you can. Just try to skill up and all that kind of stuff. In your 30s,
Yeah.
we say gijutsu. So that's techniques, skills. Yes.
Right.
And then when you're in your 40s, yeah, 40s, we say jinmyaku. So that's relationships, basically,
Right.
with communities and stuff. And when you're in your 50s, what you
Yeah.
should fight with is your health. Yeah. So if you've been doing all of these things before turning 50 correctly, then you're
Yeah.
on the right track. But from your 50s, it's important that you need to stay healthy to be able to continue, succeeding. And then when you're in your 60s, help me with this, Sunshine. In your
Yeah.
60s, they say there's a saying that goes that you need to rely on aikyo, because when you're in your 60s, you're too, like in Japanese society, in a really high position now, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have aikyo, how do you say aikyo, Sunshine? Aikyo
Yeah.
is
No, you know
like,
what? I have no idea what IQ means. I'm sorry, I can't help you.
yeah, aikyo means like cuteness, of course, that you can kind of like, cuteness might be the right
You go
word.
back to being a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah, kind of thing. Yes, it's someone who
Interesting.
is easy to talk to. Yes, who is laughable. So basically, once in your 60s, and if you look very strict, or if you're like really not listening to anyone, others' opinions and stuff like that, no one's gonna be able to say anything to you, and then you're just gonna turn into this grumpy grandma or grandpa that no one wants to
Oh,
talk
I
to, right?
see. So just make
So
sure
that's
you're
why aikyo is important. You need to be a little bit clumsy. Aikyo is like being a little bit clumsy, like in a way, on purpose, kind of thing.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, being a little bit silly, being
And they say in
cute.
Japanese maruku naru, which
Yeah,
means
exactly, exactly.
not like intense, intense, intense and strict
Hmm.
and tough on people, tough on yourself, whatever. Maruku naru is just a little bit more easygoing and
That's right. That's right.
interesting, interesting.
Yeah, so
That is
something like that, you know?
now being in the middle of my 50s,
Hmm.
I can't really go back to my 20s and 30s and 40s and do what you just suggested, although I wish I had.
No,
I
you
can't
did
say my
everything
tens.
correctly
My
about
tens,
yeah.
my tens I had friends. Yes, I definitely. But I've valued friendship the whole time. Let's
Hmm.
see. What did you say? 20s power. I don't know.
Tairyoku, yes,
I think I
stamina.
wasted a lot of my 20s and 30s.
No, you didn't.
Maybe
It's-
40s. I started Shugo at 38, so I was just in the
Mhm.
nick of time. I started brushing up on my skills. I'm a bit
Yeah,
late
yeah,
on that.
yeah.
But it's interesting that you say 50s take care of your health because
Yep.
I'm going to shock you with this announcement and maybe everyone
Hmm.
on OMG Japan, but
Yeah.
I just stopped drinking for good.
Really?
Now, it's weird to make that announcement publicly when it's only been 2 days, but
Okay.
I'll tell you
Let's see how it goes.
why.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
Last week, doing 2 shows a day for a week in Asakusa almost
Hmm.
killed me. That was
Okay.
a ton of seiza. It was a ton of
Mm,
energy. And I just thought, you know what? I should not be getting this tired from
hmm.
doing Rakugo. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I did actually like hours and hours of research online with a lot of like
Hmm.
podcasts that doctors and
Oh, yeah.
those trainers and just health
Hmm.
experts, that kind of
Hmm.
thing. And I realized that most of my problems in my life right now stem from just drinking too much. I'm not. I don't think I'm an alcoholic. I don't need a drink in the morning, and I don't
Yeah.
find it that hard to quit.
Hmm.
So next time I have a drink with you, you'll have
Yeah.
to forgive me if it's jasmine tea or oolong cha.
It's totally fine.
I would
No
not have
worries
announced
at
that. I'm
all.
not even big on announcing it to people, but the fact that you just said in
Uh-huh.
your 50s you have to take care of your health, I'm like, oh my God, that system sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. That's right, that's right. So,
Fascinating.
yeah, that's the reason why I'm working really hard on, developing more
Some of your
techniques
skills,
and
yeah, no,
skills.
that's
Yeah.
fascinating.
So 20s, yeah, I really relied on a lot of my taidyoku, my stamina, basically. So,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not like in your 20s, it's not about, setting up plans and all that kind of stuff. Just do everything basically while you can
Just do
do it
whatever
while
comes.
you're
Yeah,
young. Yeah, exactly. Just challenge everything, do everything because
yeah,
while in your 20s, you're allowed to fail. Yeah, society
sure.
won't just, say goodbye to you just because you failed once or twice,
Yeah, yeah,
You'll have
yeah,
another
yeah,
chance because you're young.
yeah,
Yeah, so just keep on challenging. Don't feel sorry or embarrassed if you make a mistake. It's totally fine. Just keep on going. Is your 20s. And then 30s, you need to know where you should be in your during your 30s. So
yeah,
you need to find a place where you fit in and you need to from there, work hard and really develop your skills. And then if you do that in your 40s, you'll have the right relationships with the right people to,
yeah,
further develop whatever you're working on. And then because you've succeeded that much in your 50s, again, as I said earlier, you need to stay healthy to keep those things going.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. 100%, 100%.
exactly, exactly. So
Where did
again,
you get
yeah,
this 5 step key to a good life?
I think I read it off a book or something.
Right? Oh, so you don't even remember.
I'm
It's just part of your consciousness that
yeah,
you
exactly.
should
So
just claim it for your own. It sounds. This is a really good. It's a really good system.
I read tons of books and all that. I love reading books. So I read off a lot of
Sure.
stuff and I find these inspirations and I keep them inside myself. So I have a lot of these theories and logics inside myself that I
Yeah.
live based on. So
Well, to be
yeah.
honest, being 50 and hearing this is like,
Mhm.
I wish I heard this a while ago. It's really good. It's really, really interesting. I think there's a lot to be said to apply that kind of thing into your life because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's what, I mean, you're not wise when you're in your tens or your
Mm-hmm,
20s,
mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. You
but
don't have to
you
be.
have power, you have bodily power, you have stamina, you
Mm-hmm.
can make friends easily, you've the time and
That's
stuff. So,
right. That's right. Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. So with that said,
interesting.
Sunshine, I had one last thing I want to talk with you about.
Sure, yeah,
I get this question very often
sure.
from my viewers and things too, and also myself again because I'm going to be working on develop my skills in no theater and shot class and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
From your
yes.
point of view, could you tell me what kind of people develop their skills better? Like for example, in Rakugo is perfectly fine. What
Right.
kind of people, what kind of attitude, lifestyle, personality, character of people will be able to develop their skills? Yeah, and what kind of things, bad things that people do that you, from your point of view, people do that should I say goes the other way? Yeah, that doesn't develop their views. So in Japanese, I wrote a memo saying that who can 芸を伸ばせる人、芸を伸ばせない人の特徴, the characteristic of people who can develop
Uh,
their skills or not develop their skills. What would you say if someone asks you that question?
that's such a fascinating question. And you know what? It's
Yeah.
very applicable
Hmm.
to recent events in my life because actually
Really? Okay.
last Saturday night in New York, my
Hmm.
two apprentices had their first, they had their debut, they had the Rakugo debuts.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. They both did really well. I mean, they've only been training for 3 months.
Hmm.
And but they both learned a story, and basically the Rakugo world is like that. You put them on stage. Once they learn one story, if they can do it in front of people. Now my two apprentices, Sunny
Hmm.
and Moonlight, are so complete and utter black and white opposites in personality and
Really?
lifestyle. They
Okay.
could not be more different,
Really?
and they both did a good job.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
that being said,
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think anybody can develop their skills, and I think in Raku you use what you are and what you have and your experience and all that.
Mhm.
You use that on stage, but I think a lot of it
Yeah.
with Rakugo, you're not bringing something from inside as much as you're learning. It's very Japanese. You're learning a kata. Just imitate the
Mm.
master.
Yeah,
Do what the
yeah,
master
yeah, yeah.
says.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Your your personality and your input and your originality will fill that later. And that's the opposite of
Oh.
like a Western idea of acting, where you have to.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me.
It's totally fine,
In
yeah.
Western acting, you're talking about like what's the character's intention.
Mm.
What
Okay.
does my character want at this
Uh-huh.
moment? So you're really trying to bring your own experience to the character immediately. And so that's why
Yeah.
in Western acting, uh, it's
Hmm.
considered very bad practice for a director to give you a line reading to say it this way,
Oh,
because
okay.
that's not teaching the actor anything. That's just then they're just imitating what the director said and it won't be theirs and all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
on the Japanese side, it's say it this way. I mean, do that all the time with my. I love the Japanese way of thinking, and I've
Hmm.
talked to directors and actors in the West that
Yeah.
said, it's fascinating because Japanese. I don't think it's just rakugo. I think it's like kabuki and probably no and everything. It's like comes at it
Hmm.
from like kata,
Yep,
which is
yep,
the
exactly.
form, the shape. First learn
Everything.
this, and your own will come into it later.
Yeah,
But you're aiming at the same place. You're aiming at a good performance and a convincing
that's
performance
right.
within the bounds of that medium. And they loved it. They love it. But if you gave an actor a line reading, like I did that a little bit when I'm in my experience in the West,
Yeah.
directing musicals and stuff like that, and just actors just say, please, anything but giving me a line reading.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know that. I'm sorry, we've branched off into a completely different conversation. But here I
No,
have
no,
two
no,
apprentices, but their lifestyles are completely different, and they both did a good job.
no.
Now,
Wow.
I'll say one more thing: that a lot of the old
Uh-huh.
Japanese masters right now, like going into like their 60s and 70s in age, and like
Uh-huh.
Rakugo experience being like 40, 50 years,
Yeah.
a few of them, quite a few of them that I've talked to said like the young, and this is kind of
Mm-hmm.
surprising. This is usual. Usually you think the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
The young comedians today,
Yeah.
Rocco stories today, are too serious. They study too much. They study, they research, they stay home, and they're like hikikomori, which is like they don't go out, they don't
Yeah.
enjoy, they don't drink, they don't gamble, they don't hit on
Yeah,
women
yeah.
or hit on men or whatever. It's
Yeah.
they're way too serious about it. And they
Yeah.
say like Rakugo is not. You don't study Rakugo. You live like you gotta go crazy. They say gei no koyashi, just
Oh,
doing crazy things, and that
yeah.
feeds your art. Now that's I don't know if I have that
Oh,
opinion or not, but that's what a lot of the masters say about the youth. And so it's just opposite of normal society, where it's like the youth today has
yeah.
gotten so libertine. We had to study and we had to work and we had to walk so far to
Yeah.
school. That right, but this
Yeah.
this this generation of older masters are like, no,
Hmm.
these come on, just go out, have a drink, like fool around. Like don't study the story. Just memorize like the basic points. It'll come out on stage like that kind of thing, right? So it's
Crazy.
fascinating. That being
Yeah.
said, I
I
think a lot of
love
those
that.
masters worked very, very hard. I think they're
Of
full of crap
course.
to some
Yeah.
extent. Saying that, like, oh, now that they've gotten their basics done and they're able to do that,
Uh-huh.
they're like making fun of the next generation. So I don't know. I don't know where it lies. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. Like, I think it's to be honest. I'm gonna be. I'm gonna really. I'm just gonna say something. The easiest thing is it's like everybody needs to do it their own way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
I
Awesome,
wouldn't change a
awesome.
lifestyle in order to do an art better. I don't think that makes sense. Just do the art better. Just work on the
Mm.
art in the way you can.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like Sonny does not drink at all, but he's allergic to alcohol. But he's Sonny is
Okay.
very, very, very a serious, very serious human being. Very disciplined, very serious. Very learned
Mm-hmm.
violin since he was 4. And I mean, he's the last person you think would become a comedian. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when he did his debut, he had like friends from since grade school, and they
Wow.
came to the after party, and they said, "What the heck was that?" They said, "Sunshine, it's a different human being." Like,
Yeah.
no, it's just
Wow.
I just told him how to say the line. did it.
Yeah.
He
That's
worked hard.
amazing.
He worked hard, worked very hard. But he just did it. No, that's
Mm-hmm.
so. My theory is another thing is like a lot of people say, I'm not cut out to do Rakugo, and I think no,
Mm.
anybody who's willing to do Shugyo, if you're willing to
Yeah.
do the apprenticeship, I think anybody can do Rakugo, and the
Mm.
masters don't look for people who are particularly talented. They don't look for that. They don't
Mm.
care. Like they care. Like, do you clean my room properly? Do you fold the kimonos properly? And then like, do you study? Do you study in the way that you work hard at Rakugo to try to get
Mm-hmm.
better?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But
Yeah,
anybody can do
yeah.
it. Anybody can do it. I
That's
think.
amazing, I think. Yes, thank you
Now,
so
what do you
much.
think? Turn the question back on you. What do you think about
Mm-hmm.
that?
I think the first thing that you said is probably the most important point, I think, about getting Japanese, whatever traditional culture, everything, craftsmanship too, all
Yeah.
have these kata, right? Which are in
Yeah.
English, we call them forms or drills. And I think what's really important is that in the beginning, don't think too much about what's
Yeah.
going on. Yeah, because there's really like I mean, what you explained to me to everyone just now about how it's a little bit different in the Western world,
Yeah.
that really I did not have no idea about that. So that was super interesting because I teach Kobudo and all these Japanese traditional culture to people who are
Yeah.
overseas,
Yeah.
often
Yeah.
from Western countries, right?
Yeah.
And then this happens all the time, but you ask too many questions, you
Yeah.
know. And of course, I totally understand because my personality, I think, is more on that side, to be honest. So I totally understand that you
Sure.
want to know more about why you do this way or why you do
Yeah.
that way. But you shouldn't be focusing on asking questions
Yeah.
when you're in your
100%.
first stage. What you should focus on is trying to become your sensei. So
Yes.
you're the move
Oh,
their
that's it.
movements.
That's Rakugo.
You
100%.
gotta copy them. You gotta you gotta almost imagine that you're sensei when you do tea ceremony, when you play an instrument, when you go on
Yep.
stage. You know,
Yep.
you gotta in Japanese, I always use the word hyoi saseru. Hyoi.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta almost like you're bringing your sensei spirit into yourself and you're your sensei. So you need to be
Yeah.
able to watch your sensei hundreds and thousands of times so
Yep.
that when you're doing the art yourself, you can almost imagine that you yourself is the sensei that you've always been watching.
Yeah.
I think that's much more because and if you go to that level, then you'll at that stage you'll understand, oh, now it all makes sense now. Yeah, there's a point
Yeah.
when it all is gonna all make sense to you. So in the beginning, don't think too much, but
Yeah.
just try your best to copy and almost like record your sensei's movements in your brain almost. You know,
100%.
is my advice that I would always give. Yeah.
You just defined the Rakugo apprenticeship. Man, that's
Really?
exactly what my senior said to me. Is just don't
Okay.
think. Do what you're
Yeah.
told. You have 3 years of apprenticeship where you don't have to think.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to make a
Yeah,
decision. Do what you're told, and that's it. Now
exactly.
you have to learn to read the wind. So read the atmosphere, like read
Hmm.
Kukyo Yoma. Think
Yep.
about what the master might need, might want, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But you're talking about a different thing. You're talking about like questioning. Like, I want to get to the deeper reasons for the way this line is portrayed and that kind of thing. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
let it do it. The
Exactly.
other thing
Exactly.
is fascinating. It's like, okay, you spend all your time for years imitating your master perfectly.
Hmm.
You'll never make people laugh.
Okay.
But that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's what differentiates an amateur from a professional. An amateur, like
Okay.
Rakugo
Oh, we're
hobbyist,
getting into a really interesting part. Yeah.
yeah, we'll just do whatever it takes to get a laugh from the beginning. But then that's
Mhm.
chaos. You're not learning Rakugo. You're just learning clowning or whatever it is. It's just
Oh
it's
yeah.
different. I don't criticize that. And so if you're not a professional, you have fun with it.
Hmm.
You do whatever you want.
Hmm.
But that's not the basis. You're not the first thing is not laughs, Rakugo. The
Yeah.
first thing is the story, the story, the tradition, the process, the kata.
Hmm.
However, and that's why when you become a professional, you have to be willing to be like ignored when you're on stage. Basically, like nobody's gonna laugh. Like dos tuberi means
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
just like bombing. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
no. First, just imitate the master, no matter how much you bomb. Get this little part right.
Yeah.
Then you find your own timing. And everybody,
Uh-huh.
my
Uh-huh.
master never taught us about ma, which is timing. He never taught us
Mm.
that because he doesn't know. He can't just in a vacuum. He can't tell you about ma. If he about timing, about comic timing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
if he sees us on stage, which is when we do shows at at his shows, as like when we're the opening act, the first 5 minutes of
Mm-hmm.
his 2 hour show, he'll sit at the side of the stage
Mm-hmm.
and say, Maga warukata, which means you were
Mm.
rushing through and you weren't
Yeah,
leaving
yeah.
spaces for people to laugh and you weren't the timing was off.
Uh,
He can comment on the timing of a particular performance in front of a particular audience on a particular day. But there's no
yeah.
general instructions on timing,
Makes
right?
sense.
You
Makes
have to find that
sense.
yourself.
Yes.
But before you even start to do that, you have to do exactly what you just said. Just forget
Mm-hmm.
everything, try to become your master first. And that's
Yeah.
painful because, first of all, your master's been doing it for 60 years and it's hard to imitate them.
Yes, yes,
Second of
yes.
all, you do it no
Yeah.
matter how perfectly you do that, nobody's going to laugh
Uh,
because that's just the first step.
exactly. That's what in Japanese we call shu-ha-ri, right?
Shu-ha-ri, right?
Shu-ha-ri.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Fascinating.
Shu is protect, yeah, which is again imitating, copying. Yeah. Ha means to break, and li means to leave. Yes. So
Oh, yeah,
to
I
go
think you told me
further.
about this.
Yeah, yeah,
You told
shu-ha-ri.
me about this
Yes.
like months ago. That's
Uh,
fascinating.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly. So
Shu-ha-ri. Oh, I
that's
love
the
it.
first step. You copy, imitate, you protect the traditions, you do exactly the same thing, and then you move on to the breaking. Yeah. And then you move on to leaving away from farther away from your master. So in the end, of course, you can't just be constantly copying your sensei and become professional. That's impossible because
Yeah,
you are you and your master is your master. You're different people. So you can't be the same people.
100%.
So in the end, you need to be, of course, leaving there. But if you skip this first step, yes, then you can't move on to the ha.
You
You can't
can't.
move on to li after that. So
100%. 100%. That's the
exactly,
Japanese way of
that's
thinking.
right.
That's fascinating that you have never done a Rakugo Shugyo, but you've done all
Yeah.
these other Shugyos, which was apprenticeships. You've apprenticed all these other things. But what you said to me summarizes
Mhm.
100% perfectly of like what I did when I
Aw,
was in
that's
Shu.
awesome. That's awesome.
Fascinating. And so it's not just Rakugo. That's just a very Japanese way of going at these
Mhm.
art forms, right?
Exactly. But then what happens is that a lot of people who don't understand these, what should I say, how these things work and
Yeah.
how the traditions have been kept in Japan, a lot of people think, oh, just copying or imitating your masters makes you sound like a robot. I'm not a robot. I have my own rights. And that kind of
Yeah.
thing happens, and then a lot of
My
people start
own
leaving
rights.
the world. A lot of people start leaving the world of Japanese traditional culture. But I really hope
Yeah.
that at least the people who I'll be talking with, translating for and all that kind of stuff. I hope the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
students,
yeah.
yeah, training under my masters, working together with me would understand this concept. Yes, there's a meaning to
Sure.
why things were kept like this for a few hundred years. So
Yeah. Well, exactly. Exactly.
exactly. All
100%.
right. Thank you so. That was an amazing topic to talk about. Thank you so much, Sunshine.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, what a great
Yeah.
question. Cheers.
So I actually have to go on to another meeting after this. I think
Okay,
this
yeah,
is going to
actually
be
me
the end of
too.
this
Yeah.
episode then. Oh, really? Okay, perfect,
Yep.
perfect.
So it's
Thanks so
perfect.
much.
Okay, so should we
Yeah, let's talk
yeah,
about, going to Asakusa and maybe the next recording, all that kind of stuff soon after this
perfect.
then. Okay?
Perfect.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
We'll
guys.
stop things right here. Yeah, cheers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Bye bye. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. The two of us are involved in various Japan related projects on a global scale, so please take a look at the description for more information. We're looking forward to your comments too. Then we'll talk to you again in the next one. ありがとうございました。